I've been watching Home Math now for probably about 4 months, and I thought his idea was pretty cool. I like the idea of him sketching out and trying to help out men with women and trying to explain the attraction side of it. And I thought some of his stuff was pretty brilliant. The way that he posted up how women choose relationships, I think that he made a couple mistakes there, but for the most part, he's decently spot on. The one thing that I didn't agree with, though, was the attraction side of it. So he made a video about the attraction, which, to be fair, I mean, no guys know what's going on in attraction. I mean, 7 out of 10 men nowadays, I think it's 7 out of 10. You guys somebody's going to be in the comments correcting me on this, but 7 out of 10 men in their 20s right now is a virgin. And it's not from them choosing to be a virgin. It's them trying their best and still failing to figure out women. And the problem is that there's a lot of men who don't know what they're doing with women, and they want to chalk it up to something they can't control. They want to chalk it to something that they can't improve on, which is complete bullshit. It's complete bullshit. Regardless of who you listen to, it's complete bullshit that you can't improve in this. Regardless of whether or not I'm wrong and somebody else is right, even if it was all looks, there's so much you can do looks-wise to improve your status, to improve in that direction. I just hate it when men use this as an excuse to not take action, to not improve on themselves. You guys want higher quality women. You want women at all. You feel lonely and lost. There's so much you can do. And I just don't subscribe to the bullshit. I really just don't subscribe to the bullshit. Actually, here, let's make this a little bigger. Oh, that really helped. Most men are not getting results with women. So when everybody's taking the majority's viewpoint on what's going on with women, when most men are listening to each other and there's an echo chamber of people falling into the majority fallacy, there's a problem. When most men are not doing good with women and nobody knows what they're doing, and every man is claiming to know what he's talking about when he's never actually even talked to women, when he's never approached a girl, when he's never even tried his best, when he's never done it for any extended period of time, and then he's like, it's all this, it's all that. I think it's bullshit. You guys need to really get yourselves out there more. It's the same thing with even social scientists. I've studied a lot in the regards to psychology and therapy. I love those fields. I study them every day. Honestly, it's a second obsession for me. And a lot of the guys who are in the social sciences where they are trying to understand people, they're like these nerds in like trees with like binoculars trying to study humans. Dude, you're a human. You can go talk to people. You can go say hi to them. You can interact with people and see what they do. But a lot of people have this problem where they're afraid of being extrovert. They're afraid of putting themselves out there, and they're afraid of getting rejected. So it never happens. So then there's nobody really that knows what the fuck is going on with humans. It's so funny because we know so much. We're on the edge of creating AI, and we still don't understand ourselves yet. We still don't understand dating yet. We don't understand toxic versus healthy relationships yet. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that this is something that so many people are so certain about and yet has no idea what the fuck is going on. So most men are not interacting with women. And those that do put themselves out there with women, they don't analyze their interactions. They don't try to improve. They stay stagnant and flat, and they do the same thing every day they go out because they get locked in an ego. They get locked in a certain way of being, and they don't think critically. So the sweet spot is like somebody who goes out regularly, who's socializing, and is thinking critically and improving on his results, who's thinking, how can I do better? How can I become more charismatic? How can I become more sexy how can I become more of a value proposition to women? They don't think that way. And there's a lot of things in society, I'm not going to say which, but there's a lot of things in society where this is becoming an issue. There's a lot of people who fall into majority bias, believing that the majority must know exactly what's going on, because if everybody believes this, then that must be true. It must be true because so many people believe this. But as we're finding out, when you get a bunch of idiots who don't know what they're talking about, stuck in the Dunning-Kruger effect, thinking they understand what's going on, it creates, again, an echo chamber and a bunch of people with the wrong idea of what's going on. So even though I really like Home Math, I think it's really cool, and I really actually think he's a smart guy. He is wrong about a lot of things around attraction, and so I want to cover that today and help you guys out in this regards. I want to clear some things up. So I literally, here, just to give you guys an example, I've been working on this actually for 2.5 months. So I got like notes upon notes of notes, and these are actually not all the notes. I got so much more notes just of me just trying to figure this out. I did diagrams. I did like trying to draw this out, trying to figure out what's going on. And they're like all double-sided and whatnot. And I've been working on this actually for a while now. I wanted to really come to a good answer for you guys. And I think I have it. This system covers all the bases. Everything you've ever had in regards to women, everything you've ever been confused about, this will explain it. If you guys are trying to improve with women, this will tell you how to do it. If you guys are confused about a specific girl, this will explain it. If you guys are feeling that women are from Venus and men are from Mars, this will explain the planet Venus. This will explain their ecology, their society. This will explain why they come from the headspace they come from, why they act the way they do in regards to sex, in regards to the guys they date. So firstly, yes, attraction, ego, and comfort. So we're going from approach all the way to the top. So approach could also be meeting in general. You can meet her in a social circle, you can meet her at work, you can meet her anywhere. But in general, we're going to call it approach because I'm a dating coach and a pickup artist, so we're going to call it approach. So we start at the bottom and move to the top. How does a girl decide to either date or have sex with you? So first, a lot of men actually mistake a lot of things in regards to attraction and comfort in the ego slot. And so I found the best way actually to describe this was to put that into its own category completely. So attraction is how into you she is. It's how like viscerally attracted biologically she is. Ego has to do more with like, that's actually the one factor that switches a lot of girls up and makes girls confusing. It makes them less than, how do I put it? It's what makes some girls into some guys and some girls into other guys. It's what makes some women act completely different than the rest, and others are following a general strategy. There's a lot of things in regards to this. It's usually more in regards to personal experience, personality, trauma, which we'll get into all that in a second. Attraction is legitimately, as it sounds, what makes girls attracted to you. Now, the ego and the attraction are kind of almost in a way you can either have a lot of where the ego is on your side and you have no attraction, or you can even have all attraction and where the ego's against you, or you can have where the ego and the attraction are going up, and also you can have where the attraction and ego are going down. So you can have categories in ego like where you are not lining up with the girl, and you can also have categories in attraction where you're not lining up with the girl, where it's either going up or down. Now, to break ultimately into dating and sex, yes, you have to break through the comfort stage. So a lot of men, I actually realized this too, comfort's been completely taught wrong by the dating industry. It's always been comfort and attraction, but it's wrong. It's actually more complex than just that. And I've always had a hard time explaining comfort because from my personal experience, it never happened the way that men in my industry were explaining it. And I realized ultimately it's because also just like the majority bias, most guys in my industry are not going out and actually doing this stuff. So it makes it kind of difficult to talk to a lot of guys. Most dating coaches aren't actually trying this stuff out. They're just parroting what other dating coaches have said, and they're working on marketing. They're making sure their marketing is tight. They're making sure they're making money instead of actually being good coaches and trying to find solutions for their clients. And I think that's sad. It's whatever, but it's sad. There's some really great coaches out there too who have honestly led the way. I love Todd Valentine personally. He's one of those guys where I come to a conclusion and him and me oftentimes come to the same conclusion separately. I think Todd Valentine is a very smart guy. He makes some mistakes too. And I think he can improve his game in certain ways. But then again, I'm a young punk kid, trying to tell like daddy what to do. Daddy's not going to listen to me. But yeah, let's go into it. So we're going to start in ego, move to attraction, and then end on comfort. So let's start off, okay? So trauma. Trauma is something that basically it's past experience. So if you ever had a girl who said, I don't like the attractive guys, or I don't like the guys that are like the players or whatever, or I don't like guys who are the quintessential attractive person, or even a trauma actually can even work in your favor too. Maybe the girl wants to get back at her ex who just cheated on her and she wants to fuck tonight. That could also be the case too. Trauma can either work for or against you. Maybe she's mad at all men. Maybe you approach a girl who's just pissed off at all men and she goes, fuck you, when you didn't even do anything. That happens too. But as time goes on, most of the time with age, trauma goes up unless the person actually is pretty self-aware, intelligent. Then trauma can go down. The person starts becoming more self-aware, which those women are fucking awesome. But most people, most women, most guys, we all compile trauma as we get older and don't know how to properly work on it and fix it. And we get stacking and stacking and stacking. And then the trauma plays a bigger role in the ego for women, ultimately as they get older. And they start, it starts adding more factors to the ultimate who do I date, who do I have sex with category. And it does play a huge role. But as time goes on, the younger the girl is, the less trauma she's more likely to have. She's more likely to put a lot of faith into she's more based on the attraction. So the attraction on the left side, the girls that are younger, you'll find will usually go for the guys that are just straight, like attractive. The having the factors that make somebody attractive, they'll go straight across and they'll date or have sex with them. until they get traumatized by those people over a period of time. The problem with women is that they have an easy time up front, hard time in the back end, which means sex is easy. Getting guys wanting to have sex with you is easy. Tying down the badass motherfucking guy is hard. Getting the guy not to cheat on you is hard. It's tough. And that's the trauma that compiles over time. And that's why women are always like, I don't go for the players unless they decide they want to have sex aside from like, dating. And then like oftentimes those girls will fuck a guy who's attractive, but they won't date the guy who's attractive because of the trauma. Alignment. So just to explain this too, alignment is something like this. So you've heard a lot of girls say this where they're like, I only date guys that are 6 foot and above or only make this amount of money. The reason they say that is not because it's actually something they're attracted to. It's they're verbalizing a number. Your biology doesn't give a fuck about a number. It doesn't know what numbers are. What it does care about is like, it's like, I identify with this kind of person. So this says something about me. Us guys do this too, where like you probably have a friend like this. I've had a lot of clients who say this. I won't have sex with anybody who's an 8 or above. I won't date anybody who's like an 8 or below. I won't, or even like on the opposite end, a guy's like, I like fat girls. And it's like, dude, you've only had sex with fat girls. So it makes sense that you would think that because you're backwards rationalizing your actions. You never had sex with a model. So it makes sense that you would think like that you would backwards rationalize that. It keeps your ego in check, keeps your narcissism in check. It tells you that you're still an attractive guy, but this is just what I like. And also to have you're positively reinforced to go for those girls because, if you approach those type of women, you know that you have a high chance of them liking you. So you're more likely to approach them. Whereas if you approach an attractive girl, you'd be giving off signs that make you less attractive. You'd be giving off signs that make you less attractive. So whenever a girl says that she cares about a certain number or something like that, ignore it. It's an ego. And if you have enough attraction, she'll ignore all that bullshit and she'll decide that she doesn't because she'll take an action based on you. I've had girls say that they only like a certain type of race, they only like a certain type of height, then they date me and their alignment, what they align with, changes because now the action has changed the alignment. Because if you take an action, your ego has to follow. Action feeds ego, ego feeds action. I say this all the time in my videos, and it's a psychological, it's psychology. All right. Now image is actually kind of interesting. When she dates somebody, she knows that, so she cares about her social status in her tribe. And what does the guy I'm dating say about me? So what does it say about me? What does this, me deciding to go home with this guy, me dating this guy, what does it say about me? So that does play a factor. Like the girl's going to care about this to an extent. So it's logistics. It can affect your logistics. Basically, if her friends, she might be afraid of, her going home with you because she doesn't want her friends thinking that she's a hoe and she wants to look like she's picky. Sometimes girls will even bait for guys to chase them, but will never go home with them unless they have enough, again, attraction. But they'll enjoy it and they'll put on almost like this smirk. The smirk is like almost like they're getting what they want, which makes them look good to their friends. But then they don't have to like sleep with the guy at the end, and they also keep that look at me getting chased and not giving it to anybody kind of energy. It's a narcissism in a way. Yeah, so like I said, dating a guy that makes her look good, a lot of average to cute, not like the hotter the girl, the less she cares about this, because she knows that she's attractive. But the girls that are like average to cute will care more about looks than like the super hot girls because they want to like, and I mean physically attractive. I don't mean like attractive from my idea of attraction, which I'll explain in a second. Those girls will date these guys because those guys will make them look good. Because like, I date this guy, I must be that type of girl. I'm dating this guy who's a model, I must be that type of girl, which I know you guys have all seen like, maybe like, I've had friends who were like Calvin Klein models and they end up dating like a girl that's, she's not even cool. She's actually a total bitch, but, an average. And, the reason he dated her is because the actual quality girls that were like maybe straight across the alignment, want to date him because he was so soft and he didn't have the energy that I'm going to teach you guys about. So here's actually something that you guys also fuck up on, especially when you guys are new. So in regards to the ego, you guys will say something that forces her that pins her against her ego. So if you diss on her in a certain way or say anything about her, if she were to fuck you, then she'd be almost accepting the frame that you took on, or that she's just going to stand for it and she's going to take your punishment. No, so she rejects you. Maybe you make a comment about politics. Like there's a lot of girls nowadays give a fuck about politics. You're left, you're right, you're this, you're that, you're up, you're down, you're whatever. If what you are doesn't align or doesn't make her image or her doesn't like, so let's say like you're a Republican and she's a liberal, she's going to get mad at you because you're a liberal or because you're a Republican. That's why you want to avoid politics at all costs, because if you do, unless you're like me, you can read somebody. I know somebody's politics when I first start talking to them, usually pretty fast. There's also subtle ways to hint at it if you really care about it, but it's not worth the fucking battle or like the possibility that you're wrong to even find out. It's like, I say this all the time. If you believe in yourself in regards to attraction, that stuff actually all flips. Like, so if somebody has a hard ego towards something, it's going to be harder for you to what I call, so frames are bendable, except if somebody has like a hard ego in alignment with this. So for example, somebody's a church going girl and they believe in God, and you start making jokes about God, or you say you don't believe in God. Obviously you're going against her ego. Her ego says being a Christian girl makes me this. And you're like, no, it makes you stupid. And then the girl starts fucking like, obviously does not like that. No matter how strong your frame is, you just attacked her ego. Now she's going through ego death. Now she's mad. Sometimes if you get a narcissist, they'll try to, they'll even try to get revenge on you, where they'll try to take you down so they can make you feel the same way that you made them feel, which that's just narcissists. Narcissists do that. They can't handle you breaking their frame of reality. Her tribe. So again, like, is her tribe on your side? Does her tribe like you? Because her tribe is everything. A girl's tribe is way more important than it is even to us guys. We're very much into things and girls are into people. Her tribe is very much her part of her social environment. Now, again, the more a girl invests in you, the more she must like you. So the more you make a girl invest in you, the more her ego aligns, because action, again, feeds ego. Ego feeds action. The more she invests in you, her ego has to eventually follow. So you're almost ripping the lawnmower cord until she's invested so much that she can't drop you. If she invests so much in you, do you think she's going to fucking walk away from you in a club to go talk to another guy? No. There's actually a big strategy with Todd. Todd makes them invest, and their ego gets aligned with them, and then the girl's never gone. Julian did the same thing. It's actually a really big tactic a lot of these top guys use. Again, action feeds ego. All right, now we're going to go to attraction. So here's the big thing. What is attraction? Value is attraction. Okay, value is attraction. The more valuable you are as a man, the more status you have, the more attractive you are. And we're talking about top percent. What does that mean? That means that girls are not comparing you in a vacuum. They're comparing you to other men constantly. It's why dating apps are so tough for most guys. Whereas if you meet them in person, girls lower their standards because they're not comparing you to all the guys on the dating apps. They're comparing you to the guys in the venue. It's why if you go to a venue where there's more women versus guys, the women are a lot easier to approach. Whereas if you go to a venue where there's more guys than there are women, the women are harder to approach because they're comparing you to the other men in the venue. Looks like status. So a lot of you guys are too afraid to look a certain way, to dress a certain way, because you're afraid if you do, you're not going to, that you might have an ego about it. You're like, oh, I'm not one of those guys who's a douchebag or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And girls on some level know this. And if you dress a certain way, you look a certain way, you look like status. And yeah, there is a certain percentage of it where girls do also care about looks. But I'll say this, it's not as much as the factors I'm about to say here in a second. These factors, if you actually do this right, which these are a rare type of guy who actually has all these things in common, because because nowadays, like, to have the kind of factors and the kind of traits, you have to be a very rare type of guy, because it's exponential curve growth to the top. We're made for tribes of 150. Now we're an 8 billion man tribe where you're comparing yourself to Drake, and Drake is going to move differently and speak differently than you do. So to teach yourself to move and speak in this way, you have to garner value, you have to practice it, you have to move and learn to speak in a certain way. Your body's even going to fight you viscerally when it doesn't think you are that high status person. So you got to take it one step at a time. Actual status is like, well, actually here, I'll show you. So actual status, so you can like show status in the ways I'm about to show you in a second. And this way actually even feeds the first way. So pre-selection and leader of men, and you have respect. So actual status, this is what the mind, your biology sees as status. Are you pre-selected? Are you leader of men? And are you respected? So if people respect you, women are chasing you, from the biological brain, you are high status. It doesn't care about your money, doesn't care about this, doesn't care about that, but it cares about this. So what does this feed into? This actually feeds into another thing that actually I push all the time, mindsets. You're fun and relaxed. You believe in yourself. Free of outcome plus intent. That's more of like when you're approaching, you don't always have to have intent. A lot of these guys actually don't have intent with girls. And sometimes that could even be good, but it depends on the energy. Own reality. You have a strong frame of reality that nobody can bend. Like this right here, nobody else says this shit. I do. You know, I say it because I have a reality that nobody can bend. And also too, I have a lot of experience that says this is all the case. So mindsets, so the actual status feeds into the mindsets that make you believe in a certain way, which feed into the mannerisms, the way you move and speak, which is what makes girls attracted to you. But it's hard to make the mannerisms when you don't believe you are a certain way. So you want to practice one mannerism at a time. It'll actually feed the mindsets subtly and also feed the actual status. Because as you stack these things, you'll notice that people start reacting to you differently. Girls start reacting to you differently. Tonality, the way you move and speak. If you're having a head voice versus chest voice, having a relaxed face, which brings me to this point, having a pace tone, varying pitch, you vary pitch and pace. You can vary the volume to say certain things and to bring people in. You don't really care. It's more all over the place. Man, I'm realizing how much actually content this is. Jesus Christ, this is a long video, guys. So I'm sorry. I'll try to cut it up in After Effects, so we'll see how long it actually ends up being, but this is a long video. Social acuity, this is also something that girls find attractive, being socially acute, which just means being somebody who's extroverted. Yes, extroversion is attractive, and social intelligence is as well, which is a natural byproduct of being extroverted. You get more practice. You talk to more people. You're somebody who's well-versed. So the funny thing is that if you have a lot of traction, the ego of the girl will actually change, and she'll change her ego to align with the fact she's attracted to you. So if you're like somebody that she doesn't generally go for, like 6'2", she'll change her ego. I must go for this type of guy instead. Now this must be my new type. And now she'll go for you. I've had friends who were like short, me myself, I've dated girls who I'm not their type. And all of a sudden I become their type. They start dating guys that look just like me after we date. Whereas the guy they were into before me looked completely fucking different. They would tell me that I'm not their type. Then they date me. Now every guy after me is looks just like me. Looks like a fucking variation of me. So attraction beats ego, but ego does matter. Especially like if you can't always be in the pocket, can't always be in a great headspace. And when you're not in a good headspace, this stuff right here won't help you out as much. This stuff right here, because you're not in a good headspace yet. So what do? You approach, you get yourself warmed up until you actually are in this headspace. And then this stuff starts following, and then the girls are attracted to you, which then takes you to this point. So comfort is time spent with you being awesome. There's nothing else to it. There's nothing else about building comfort. There's nothing really you need to learn about comfort. Honestly, if you have the right mindsets involved, the mindsets will feed the mannerisms, the fucking extroversion, the social, it feeds all of it. It feeds everything. But the problem with, just focus on mindsets is that you have habits that are built into this. So even as you're building the mindsets, you also have to be intelligently attacking these as well, one at a time. Maybe you're practicing your slow language movements. Maybe you're practicing your eye contact. Maybe you're practicing your cocky energy. Maybe you're practicing maybe how you just handle things. When things get thrown at you, get shit tested. Are you somebody that gets pushed around and shooken? You get shaken? Are you somebody that has all the answers? Are you somebody that cares what other people think over your own beliefs? I mean, there's so many things you can attack individually in this whole thing right here. But as you're approaching, you're being fun and relaxed, and you're being extroverted, you'll get naturally into that headspace as you get better at game and as you clean up your thought processes and you start becoming more positive and upbeat. Positivity is an indication of high stats, says that your tribe's kicking ass and that you're kicking ass. You're doing a great job. So the girl takes a lot of time. Some girls need more comfort than others. And the comfort they're looking for is that you are consistent. So if you're showing attraction-wise that you are all these things, the girl wants to test you and make sure you actually are that way. It's why when a girl approaches a guy, guess what she does? She doesn't immediately take him home most of the time unless her ego says, I want to fuck a guy tonight. And unless her ego says she wants to fuck a guy tonight, and even then you can still fuck it up. The girls are not men. They're not us. So if a guy approaches a girl, you guys know this, you guys immediately want to fuck the girl. Whereas if a girl approaches a guy and the guy's fucking weird, she'll change her mind. And that's consistent. And it's because, again, of comfort. She wants time of you being consistent so you can show honest signals. If you're consistent over a period of time and showing honest signals, you guys have been on that fucking thing where you guys are running the Mario, the Mario game. You guys have 10 lives. You keep playing it over and over and over. Well, there's sometimes where you play it all, you keep playing it over, and eventually and you jump on the flag. But there's so many times where it didn't work out, where you fucked up somewhere along the way. Some of you guys are getting to that point in intermediacy where you guys are getting good at running the game. Eventually, you don't even have to run the game anymore because the person that you were trying to fake becomes who you are. And so comfort is actually now on your side because you're not going to switch up. You're going to be the same person. You're not switching up. So if you're somebody who's attractive and you're not, and your attractiveness is outweighing the fact that her ego might be against you, or even her ego's on your side, now you're going to go through the comfort stage. The comfort stage is going to be time spent being authentic and like authentically being a cool guy, or like at least faking authentically being a cool guy long enough to where she now believes on a biological level you actually are the attractive person that she thinks you are. Because looks are not the end all be all. It's not like the fucking like the thing that everybody says matters. And it's because nobody goes out and approaches girls. Nobody does this shit. We're listening to fucking idiots who never actually talk to girls. Like, would I trust a guy in how to like fucking like shoot a basketball? The guy's never shot a basketball in his life. He's like, yeah, I shot a few basketballs. Yeah, I did a few free throws once. I watched Michael Jordan play on TV, so I'm pretty sure I can teach you how to play basketball. It's like, shut up. Shut up, dude. This is legit. This covers all the bases. There's nothing in game that this does not cover. Like, that's actually why I love this. Now, the big question is, how much does each factor really matter? I think that's the one thing anybody can argue a point with me, but arguing that that this isn't how it works this is how it works. It's just, how much does each factor matter? And that's not going to, I mean, I have a good idea of how much it matters. And I think, but you could, honestly, people can still argue the opposite. You guys can still argue the opposite, that shit doesn't matter. The big thing with me is that you're just, whatever you think matters to you, you're working on. I promise you this, if you think it's all looks, I promise you there's so much shit you can work on in looks. I know this because I still work on my looks and stuff, because even when I'm out of it, I'll still like, I still want to get, I want my interaction with women to be as like high quality as possible because I'm warming up. And I like, you know, it's like if I don't have the mindsets in place where I'm just like super out of it, maybe I just got broken up on, maybe my business is taking a hit and I'm feeling like a bitch. It's harder for me to move and speak in a certain way. So I have to like warm it up. I have to get myself into that headspace. But yeah, this is 100% how it works. I have no doubt in my mind this is what's going on. Again, the only thing that I think could be argued is how much does each piece matter. That's the one thing that people can argue. But other than that, this is it. So if you guys are interested in how like girls choose the guy that they're either going to date or have sex with, this is it. And even dating versus sex, it's the ego. So maybe a girl's like is more like, she's like, oh, you know, like I'm a bad bitch. Girl shakes her ass to like Cardi B. She's gonna be more open-minded to sex and just simply sex and just like fucking around like she's a dude. Because the Cardi B crowd, they look to what guys have and they want to emulate it while also hating men at the same time, which is kind of a funny catch-22. But if you guys are actually having a hard time with this, see, the thing is that it is hard to believe in yourself when you're approaching a girl if you don't have good results with women yet. And that's what I call the catch-22. And then you guys misinterpret that as you're just not attractive. Dude, I went through that. All my friends went through that. The catch-22 is a tough thing to get over initially. It comes down to a few things. One, you free yourself of outcome. You make the outcome something else that isn't the woman. Like maybe it's like approaching a certain amount of people. Maybe it's working your charisma. Maybe you decide to work on something very specific. And maybe it's having fun, being fun and relaxed. Like, right, what I put down here. I usually, when I warm up, my 3 goals are approach, relax, and have fun. So if I get the first 2 in place where I'm approaching, I'm having fun, or I'm approaching and I'm relaxed, then the fun can now come into play. You can't have fun if you're not relaxed. If you're anxious in your head, you guys who are very high in anxiety, you guys have a hard time having fun. First focus on relaxing and approaching, and then once you're almost bored, it's a lot easier now to have fun. Like everything that I've ever seen in game, this covers. And I approach a lot. I've been doing this for 13 years. This covers all the bases. Everything the girl's ever said, this covers the bases. This is everything. So I think I kicked ass with this. Dude, it only took me like 3 months to figure this fucking shit out. But yeah, there. Fucking just dismantled the fucking pickup community. Comfort's what matters. I'm surprised that nobody else has ever ever questioned this. Ego is oftentimes, again, mistaken for attraction, and ego is also oftentimes mistaken for comfort. So the community actually fucked up. There's not 2 factors, not attraction and comfort. It's attraction, comfort, and ego. Those are the 3 pieces that matter. It's not just attraction and comfort. It's all 3. And I knew it was complicated. I knew it was more complex than what people are saying, but yeah. All right, guys. If you guys are interested in coaching, text me at 702-841-9909. Holla at your boy. With that being said, peace.